Get ready to take a look behind the scenes and enter the impossible for the Between Two Minds podcast with our hosts, Judge Mentalist and Bernardo Rodriguez. Can they really tell you what you're thinking?
Good morning, everybody. This is Judge Mentalist. I am here, as you know, with these Performing Hypnosis Summit preview episodes. I go solo on these. My pal Bernardo, my stage partner, is not part of these. I am super excited. I'm always excited when we do one of these because the Performing Hypnosis Summit is fantastic. If you are a stage performer, or really, as I've been starting to tell people, really starting to realize, if you are a performer at all, because so many of the topics that we are talking about are not specific to hypnosis or can easily be adapted to other parts of the entertainment world, it's definitely worth showing up. So definitely get your tickets, register. If anything else, who doesn't need an excuse to be in Las Vegas in the middle of January? So without further ado, I want to introduce today's guest. Again, it sticks with the theme of presenter at the upcoming Performing Hypnosis Summit, a hypnotist, a hypnosis trainer, many, many more things. Tommy V, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Joe Beth. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm here living the dream, sitting here talking to folks about hypnosis, and what better thing to do other than actual hypnosis, right?
Exactly. And I love your excitement, and Vegas, baby, coming up soon.
Exactly. So let's for anybody who doesn't know you, for anybody who might randomly be finding this, let's do a brief little who are you, where you been, why are you qualified to talk at, why should people want to come to your talk, and then we'll talk about the talk itself.
Well, I first of all, I love to share, and I always have in my trainings. I share everything I know with my students. I've been involved with hypnosis for over 30 years now. My dad was Jerry Valley, who was a pioneer in stage hypnosis and started the Ultimate Stage Hypnosis Seminar with Orman McGill back then, and I became part of that also, worked with Jerry and Orman. And since then, I've been doing clinical hypnosis at home outside of Boston, and I do shows, comedy hypnosis shows, and do some training too, individual training for stage hypnosis and group trainings. So I've been doing shows for a long time. I love it. It's fun, and I'd love to share.
Excellent. So let's fast forward to January in Las Vegas. What are you sharing with us?
Well, first of all, I hope I make it because I attempted to. Did you go last year by any chance?
I did, yes.
Yeah, I made it from New Hampshire to Baltimore, and then all of a sudden they said all flights to Vegas are canceled. So I went back home to New Hampshire. I never made it. But what I'm coming to share is what I think, in my humble opinion, is the most important part or element of the stage hypnosis show. And ask me what that is.
I've heard many people say different things. So, Tommy, what is it? What are we talking about?
I think it's the pre-talk. When you come out on stage, I think it's way more important than your induction, even though the induction is very important. And it's more important than routines. When you come out and talk, that's the most important part of your show. That's when you will win your audience over or not win them over. That's when you
as I'm sure you're very well aware, there are different schools of thought specifically about how important the pre-talk is. Some people will say, who cares, throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that I have personally had folks that have volunteered in my show or shows over the years that have come up to me afterwards and said, this thing that you said or this thing that you did got me to go up on stage.
Okay.
And, these are things that when I'm talking about it, I refer to them as inflection points. And these inflection points happen in the pre-talk. There's no other place for them to happen. It's just that simple. I can't convince somebody midway through my show that, hey, I mean, somebody may decide halfway through my show that, man, I wish I were up there, but it's too late at that point in time.
Right. And there are people that are in the audience that are on the fence about hypnosis, some that are ready to go when you call them, but there are some that are afraid of it too, or have mixed emotions about it. So that's when you can hopefully convert some of those people, and instead of being afraid of hypnosis, that I think I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just be honest in your pre-talk, joke around a little bit. And the way I say it is your pre-talk should be sexy and juicy. So sexy and juicy that when you call for volunteers, they storm the stage. That's our goal. You know, they storm the stage, great show. They come up in dribs and drabs, you know, it's different.
It is a very observable, measurable indicator. Absolutely. And, I tell people all the time, in fact, I am midway through putting together a piece of content that is derived toward really, I guess it's fair to say, starting that pre-talk before anybody even enters the auditorium. So, I'm sure you get this. I get this question all the time, or I get this indication that people don't even want to come to the show because they don't understand the format of how these things typically work. And they think that it's going to be more like one of those hotel seminars where they would do a group induction and for whether it's for smoking cessation or for weight loss, or, they've come in many formats. And, I've started to pull video from some of my shows of people just mad dashing the stage so that I can explain to just the general public, look, if you're afraid about coming up on stage and that's the reason why you're not buying a ticket to my show, don't even worry about it. Look at this. There's going to be a point in time, once I explain what we're doing, that it's going to be first come, first serve, and it's going to look like this. And then boom, show some video of people. I mean, I have had people almost knocking people over to get chairs
Great.
Sometimes. Some shows where people were turning around and we're like, wait, hold on. Let's pull some other chairs up here. We're pulling chairs out of nowhere to do this stuff sometimes. I tell people, I said, look, you hesitate for a minute, there's not going to be a chair for you. Don't worry about making that choice to come up here. Well, maybe we'll get you on the next show.
We'll get more chairs for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then sometimes, rarely, hopefully, you turn around and nobody's coming up on stage, and you gotta go to plan B. It's a great feeling when you call for volunteers, obviously, and they come right up. That's the best. And that's why I think the pre-talk is important. That's when you can win them over.
Yeah.
And get them excited about it. So that's what I'm sharing at the conference.
Excellent.
Can't wait for it. What else can I answer for you?
Where
do you live, Joe Beth?
I am in Maryland.
Okay,
so,
we're both on the right coast.
Yes. Yep. So I actually somehow, I don't know exactly what happens that had you stopping in Baltimore, but that's where I departed from.
Oh.
And fortunately, and again, I was unaware of any sort of issues. My flight, which I think I went out the day before everything started, so I didn't go out super early, but like a day early.
Thursday.
Maybe. I don't. Oh, you're really asking me to remember stuff that specific days of weeks for things.
Well, I'm mad because you made it out. Well, I'm not mad, but I'm curious why you made it there and I didn't. They said everything. Anyways, it was.
I will say that traditionally when I travel and I'm traveling by air, that I want to be on the earliest flight that I could possibly be on.
Absolutely.
So that could have been a factor, because you obviously, even if you were leaving from New Hampshire on the earliest flight that you could have, you wouldn't have made it to Baltimore, even though it's just about 2 hours, 10 minutes or something down.
Maybe even less. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you leave early, your plane's there in the morning. That's a good point.
Yeah. So that might have been the luck that I had. And especially with like the Vegas trip and going, east to west, I love the time travel element of it. I love boarding a flight that's going to leave, let's say at 9 a.m. and getting to Vegas at 11:30.
How do they do that?
And I feel like I've stolen a day. So, I'm all about that all day, every day. I also like in converse of that, the way that the East Coast flights to the UK are booked, because you get on the flight at 7 p.m. And I normally do this out of Philly. Get on the flight at 7 p.m. I land 7:30 a.m. the next day. I've slept whatever portion of that flight that I could sleep. And it's like, oh, okay, it's just morning. And it feels like morning. And it is morning. And you've kind of done this little like, I don't feel the lag that you normally would feel on any of the occasions where I've gone that way, just because of the timing of the flights. I think if it were different, like a midday sort of thing, I'd be totally screwed and in some sort of tailspin. So
the 1 hour time change kicks my butt here, believe it or not, when we change the clocks.
It's coming. It's coming. What is that, next weekend?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it's coming soon. It's coming soon.
It's coming soon. Yeah, either next weekend or the following. Yeah, so in my day job, I know we're getting totally off topic.
Yeah.
Here. It's okay. My day job, I'm an injury attorney, accidents.
Oh, wow.
And it's those 2 times of year when that time changes, it screws people up so bad that if I were to just chart, like, one of those little dot charts of how many accidents happened on what days that come into our office, they're just spikes. March, October, boom, right after those time change and the week or so following. It's crazy.
But getting back to the pre-talk for one minute.
Yeah.
There are times when I make it real short. Like if I've been to this venue before, a school or whatever, or if it's a college and there's 500 kids in the audience, you can speed it up. You can just about skip it if you want. If I'm at a corporate event with a smaller audience, 40 people, 50 people, shirts and ties on and everything, I'm gonna take my time with the pre-talk and get into what are the more personal reasons you can use hypnosis for: stress reduction and better golf and better sales and so on. So there are times when it's shorter and times when it's longer. And same thing with you, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are even times you mentioned those shows where occasionally you have trouble getting people up on the stage, or sometimes, like you mentioned, in the corporate setting where there's only 30 or 40 people there. I did a show where I want to say that there were only 25 or so in the audience. And this is one that I traveled halfway across the country to do. And, not only was the pre-talk me laying it on thick, but then when I got the folks that I had up on stage, which out of this group of 20 couple people, I had 5 or 6 up on stage. I'm like, okay, awesome. In my mind, I've got 2 different steps that I can add into the induction to really just, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth and make sure that you're out for the whole time we're up here without actually punching you in the stage. And we've all had those scenarios where it's like, all right, we're gonna get into this part. Everybody take a deep breath in together, and then 2 heads slump down. Like sometimes you just get those nights, but then there's the other nights where it's like, ooh, I really gotta just make sure that we work this tonight. And it all works out. You've got one thing I tell everybody. Well, it's a common theme, in our world, that if you are really going to do this, you have to be like water. And, it may flow this way, it may flow that way. You don't know what's coming at you, but you got to be ready to just work it and go with it. And, you could do that. You've got the tools in the tool belt to say, okay, I need to use this or I need to use almost nothing, because again, fair amount of high school shows where you could just get those kids up on stage, everybody take a deep breath in and sleep, boom, and half of them are down. But
those shows are fun.
they're not all like that. No, I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Colin Chapman, who I know knows when I'm doing these, fellow hypnotists, and is calling me in the middle of it. So, hey, Colin, I will get back to you. You should be watching this, not calling me.
That's right. He should be in here.
All right. Any last thoughts before we let you go?
I will give my pre-talk at that talk. In other words, anybody that wants to use it, they can use it. I joke around, and sometimes I do a mentalism piece before I do the induction. So I'll share that with people, and I hope everybody comes. It's going to be a great time.
Excellent. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, obviously I wouldn't be taking the time to do all these interviews if I weren't a huge supporter and proponent of the Performing Hypnosis Summit. As somebody who does not have 30 years of experience and is relatively newer in the hypnosis world, I find it to be overwhelmingly valuable. And obviously folks that have, well tenured careers are getting a lot of value out of these events. And all of the sharing that's happening there. So no matter where you are, whether you are just starting, in fact, my talk is going to be geared toward people who are just starting and maybe even haven't done their first show or have only done a handful, to the really getting down to the refining it and making that show that much better. Because again, your show is going to be that much better by getting that one or two volunteers that are just going to be those rock stars for you. And opening the door to get them up there. That is the way to do it.
You're right. There are always one or two amongst your committee that rise to the top.
Without a doubt.
And then what do? We milk it. We work with those people. Yeah. My dad always taught me and other people that there are always great subjects in your audience. Always. You just need to find them.
That's right. That's right. All right, Tommy. Well, I appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing you and meeting you in person in Vegas. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
Okay. Peace.
All right. Be well.
You too.
Thank you for tuning in to the Between Two Minds Behind the Scenes podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media under Between Two Minds with the number 2 instead of TWO, or under Enter the Impossible. Thank you, and we hope to see you back for the next episode.